send me a note that she's got something coming and she won't be able to make it tonight, so we're not waiting on her. The first order of business, as always, is to review and make any changes to the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to be made to the agenda? Nope, we're good. All right. So the next item on the agenda is the review and approval of the minutes of the November 21st meeting. I do want to acknowledge Ron reached out regarding the minutes, and so if it's okay, I'll just recognize Ron. So go ahead.
Is it okay if I read?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a letter I'm going to read, and then we'll hand one out to each one of you after, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, to the Montgomery, Vermont Select Board. Having read the minutes of the 11/21/22 Select Board meeting, I am ready to ask you to amend the minutes, specifically point 3A3, part-time hired update. The current record reflects that you only received one application for the part-time position associated with winter plowing. I also submitted an application with resume for this position and verified with the assistant municipal clerk that she received it and forwarded it on to the road commissioner, Mark Brulette, for consideration. The written minutes stating that an application was received from Kenny Miller is misleading in that it implies that no other applications were received. The recording of the meeting further indicates that there was only one application received, and that was at 31 minutes and 44 seconds on the recording. We know that to be false. Please correct the record by correcting this inaccuracy in the written minutes. When I went into the municipal office to verify receipt of my hand-delivered application, I was told that it was passed along to Road Commissioner Brulette and that I should call him about it. After 3 calls to Mark without reply, I told the assistant clerk that he was not responsive. She must have called him herself, as he called me back shortly after I spoke to the clerk. While it is strange that only one resume and application would be acknowledged, and even stranger that the more experienced applicant's interests would be ignored, I understand in the end it is the board's choice to make. I do feel that the choice is a fiscal disservice to the taxpayer to hire a less experienced operator. I also feel that Mark's decision to reject my application was a conflict of interest, and that he told me that his decision was heavily influenced by Ken Forbes, a local farmer with a fiscal relationship to Mark. These are my concerns. I was only looking to work part-time, and I have better qualifications for the position offered than the applicant you chose. If Kenny doesn't work out for any reason, I would like to be considered to replace him. Please make this letter a part of the written record on this subject. If you have any questions about my concerns above, please call me to arrange and meet and discuss.
Great, thank you.
Ron Nolan.
Yep. So we can certainly attach the minutes. What I'll do is I'll scan them in digitally, and then we'll attach them to the minutes of this meeting. So it'll be attached as a record. As part of the approval, we can amend to make sure that we do reflect that. And just to be clear too, the hiring decisions are a full board decision. It isn't just Mark that makes the decision, just to be clear on the process. Yep.
We have 5 members here?
Yep. You can just put them right up here, and like I said, what I'll do is I'll scan it digitally and then attach it as a PDF to the minutes from tonight's meeting. That way, when they get posted, you'll see it right there.
Well, I just wanted each member to have one of these.
Yeah. Oh, that certainly works too. But yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Great. Thank you. So again, by process, it would be to move to approve the minutes as amended, and so the motion would be to approve as amended, and then you can fill in the blank. So
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended. Part-time hire. We had another application from Ron Lowell when we looked at our applications.
yep.
We had 2 applications, one from Kenny Mill, one from
Yep. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Great.
I didn't see anyone else.
Is there any additional discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, approved 4-0. So you'll see that reflected in the minutes, and this will be attached to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye.
good night. Okay, moving on to Public Works, roads and bridges. Any updates, Mark?
Haven't got much snow, so that's good.
Yeah.
The wind, we had a few trees down, I think, still got a few here and there we got to take care of. Truck number 1 is leaking antifreeze.
Which truck is that?
That's the one that always has problems.
That's the older big truck.
The older.
The older of
large
the big
The older
trucks.
large truck.
You
And
should give them names.
We should. Maybe the
We should have the
Montgomery
school-
Elementary
yeah.
School kids can do it.
I thought about
like
that.
they did with the beach ones.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
I
liking
love
it.
it.
I got a real good name for that one.
Yeah?
I can't say it.
That's not for the kids to know.
Yes.
Okay.
So, well, we brought it to Valancourt, so we have the brakes. And they said, hopefully it's not a head gasket or something. So we need to bring it to Allegiance to get it diagnosed, to see what the
Yeah.
issue is before it goes on. So that's the issue with that. And everything else seems to be going all right.
Good.
Yeah, Kenny's been retraining me. Seems to be working all right. Yeah.
Great. That's it under roads and bridges. We can move to buildings and grounds. The only agenda item there is just the Main Street location. So we are waiting on receipt of the appraisal. Beyond that, I did contact the folks at Postal Realty Trust that we've been talking to, and working through the person I've been talking to up the chain. They're now working on our behalf to get someone at the post office to work with us. So baby steps. But hopefully they can use their contacts there to help get some action.
I'm thinking of, if I get on the curb stop for that building, just shut the curb stop off. Let's say the heat goes out or something, then we won't have water. You know, if a water pipe breaks in the
Yep.
building, we won't have the building flooded water or something.
Okay.
I was gonna shut it off right where it comes in the building too. I'll see if I get on the curb stop. Just in case, because since we're not gonna be in there that much, so,
Yeah.
you know.
And the heat in the ATM is electric, right? So it doesn't
I
need
believe so.
water. Yeah, I think it's electric.
Yeah, I think so. I'll double check.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it is. Just, you know,
Yeah, we don't need that concern. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So,
Great. Anything else under buildings and grounds?
I believe the grain all off and clear eyes. That's no.
Yep.
Yeah. No.
Great.
I had one more thing about the roads.
Okay, sorry, didn't mean to jump the gun.
The grizzly, which is the thing we use to sift out the sand when it's frozen.
Mhm.
We have an old one up on top, and somebody was interested in it.
Oh,
I was thinking, probably around $200 we can get for it.
okay.
Because it's pretty much just scrap. And then this way it just gets it out of our way. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
go ahead and get rid of that. Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because we replaced ours this year or last year.
Well, last year,
Last
we
year?
did some modifications to it last year. That
Okay.
one seems to be working good now, so.
Good.
The other one's pretty much ready to fall apart. I mean, we could take it apart, bring it to scrap metal.
Yeah.
It's just gonna take, it's easier to, somebody just come get it.
Yep.
We'll be gone. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a more significant asset, I think there'd be a process to follow around
Yeah,
notification and bids and things like that. But given what it is, I think it's fine.
yeah,
If there's someone who's interested in it, take it
Yeah.
off our hands and then
Yeah.
yeah.
get rid of it.
Okay.
Great.
Okay,
Awesome.
that's it.
So if nothing else in buildings and grounds, we go to water commission, Reagan Road update. We just need to get the paperwork signed by the landowners.
Hopefully we'll
They're-
be after Christmas.
Yeah, they're second homeowners, and they might have been around Thanksgiving, but I missed them because I was out of town. So I'm gonna try to set up a point to connect with them.
I think they'd
Hopefully.
like to, they're in town changing these poles already, so.
Yeah,
that they could
I'll
draw.
coordinate that. Yep.
Yeah,
So I'll try to get that signed either this week or early next.
okay.
Just need to coordinate. I'd rather avoid mailing it. I'd rather meet them
Yeah.
in person and get it signed so
Yeah.
that we don't worry about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you schedule it. Yeah.
Great. Cool. That's everything under Public Works. We can go to visitors. Merle, you were first on for visitors, so if you've got something for visitors, feel free to take the floor.
I just want, I guess, website, did somebody forget to post the agenda or what happened there?
Yeah, so the agenda was sent to the webmaster on Friday, and apparently something got messed up with the email and he didn't receive it, or he received the email but no file, and I wasn't made aware of that until today around 2:30, at which point I contacted him and we got it up. So yeah, there was an issue. One thing we're trying to work out in the future with the website upgrades is that rather than go through the webmaster, we'll be able to post that directly. So hopefully that kind of issue will be avoided in the future.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
I don't see anything in the agenda about the sewer and streetscape projects.
Yeah, there's no update as far as anything new on that this evening. I do expect probably either at our next meeting or the first meeting of next year we'll have some updates. There was a meeting with multiple partners today with the state and the feds just around further kind of clarification and cementing of the capital stack, the funding model, because there's some kind of outstanding questions on a couple of points there, but there's no new news on that front.
I think you've been going to have a public meeting on the streetscape since last spring.
Yep.
Is there any real plan to have that?
Yep, there is still definitely a plan. It's in the consultant's scope of work and their contract to have one. Before we can have that, they need to get the survey work that was done back and basically input it into their system, which they're doing right now. So at this point, we're still on track to have one. We don't have a date in mind, but it will happen.
Okay, a survey pertaining to the streetscape?
Yes, so the survey crew that was out over the last month or so did all the survey work, and I believe they've finished that now. There's some additional work being done in the center that I believe is around the wastewater project is what they're working on now. So that survey work basically is all being plugged in now into the survey itself so that we have that information on hand. And then what the consultants are going to do is take a look at all the preliminary things that we addressed, compare it to the surveys to figure out gaps or opportunities, and then that's what would be brought to the public meeting.
Okay, just what was the purpose of the survey?
The purpose of the survey was to figure out exactly kind of what might fit where, mapping out right-of-way, existing structures, basically everything that exists currently so that we know if we modify or build something, what are the opportunities as far as space goes and what can fit and all that kind of stuff. Because the initial, I don't want to call them plans, the initial kind of conceptual designs that were put out were all based on essentially aerial photography, but the level of detail to scale that those offered was not great enough to actually say definitively, you know, yes, this would allow for more parking here or allow for something else here.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Merle, and apologies again for the website issues.
Okay.
Carissa,
Hey guys.
how you doing?
Alright, good. How are you guys?
Very well.
Thanks. dark and cold out.
I
so.
know, right? So I think you were gonna just discuss some of the town land kind of stuff going on there, so
Yeah, I
the
have a
floor is
couple.
yours.
Thank you. I have a couple bullet points here. So, wanted you guys to know that we did a grant with the Wild and Scenic You Matter organization for the town forest, just to do an assessment for a trail and what the community would want. Basically there, we did a survey last, I think spring it was, and we got a bunch of feedback, and so we went ahead with getting a quote and an estimate for a trail design there for walking, nature, that kind of thing. So Jeff Parsons, who is an ecologist, and then Sinuosity, who's an organization that does trail work and design, did an assessment on the town forest, and I have that report now that I would like to send all of you via email, and then potentially look to do a vote to adopt if you agree with it, or if you have questions, and we can correspond from there. Also, Charlie dedicated his time doing a forest management plan, and so that trail and maybe the plan could be looked at to be put up for a vote for adoption.
This is for the town forest.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and it was.
Sorry, I should have been more specific
Okay.
about, yeah.
This is
Okay.
about town forest.
Okay,
sorry.
okay. Yeah.
Way out yonder where nobody knows where it's at.
Yes, yes.
But off West Hill.
Well, we'll make a trail.
Yeah. So it's about 50 acres for those of you who aren't aware.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all just information for us at this
Mhm.
point, but if we decided to adopt it, then we could potentially apply for a grant to implement it. I would like to have a hydrologist out there also to look at it, more than just a trail design, to make sure that any structure that we built would not affect anything downstream in a flood event. Okay, switching gears, so that'll be hitting your email boxes, just to let you know that's what that is.
Okay.
For the town land,
And just to clarify, this is, now we're talking about
we're talking about.
The village.
The village,
property.
thank you. So the floodplain grant that we talked about a couple months back, I haven't heard any word on that flood modeling wise. We still are in the pool. We haven't exactly been denied or anything. It's just, we're still waiting to hear back on that. So keeping that in mind, off of the original design that we talked about back in April,
Yeah.
that flood modeling kind of puts in a question mark as what is going to happen to that property, right? So if they design and say this would be excellent for flood retention, then we don't want to plant, we don't want to plant, we don't want to put any funds towards that at that time. There is a portion on the upper half of the field that is less likely to be part of that flood modeling that I would like to propose doing fruit and nut tree planting on. And I would like to start applying for grants for that. I did estimates, I carved out 2 acres for fruit trees and 2 acres for nut trees, and then I looked at the need of the canopy of those trees, and then figured out a stem per acre. And so, just gonna list this real quick. So I'm looking at, I figured about 50 apples, 25 plums, 25 pears, 25 peaches, 25 cherries. And I looked at that variation, different select varieties for cross-pollination, for other aspects. So I have more information on that to send you guys, so that'll be in your email box too.
Wow, great.
25 hazelnuts for the nut part, 10 chestnuts, 10 black walnuts, 10 shagbark hickory, and 10 butternut potentially. So that's based off crop size. That would be less number than the fruit trees.
Oh, yeah.
So that gives me an idea and then an estimate, and then from there I can do the grant request. And so that kind of like teams us into how much money would we need for a project for a grant. 350 Vermont contacted us last spring and it's like, we want to plant stems. They're not doing that program anymore, so I'm back to looking at grant programs. There are several out there, but their deadlines are coming up fast, hence why I'm sitting in front of you. The other aspect, so MRBA had a grant deadline that came up, and they are very local, very in the know of what's going on that property, or aware of that property, and they've also been doing knotweed trials in the local area. In fact, on Caleb's field there, Riverwalk Park. And through their website and through talking with Lindsay, the best means of mechanical control would be mowing, but being careful of keeping the material on site and do not transmit it anywhere else. And at this point, that field is rejuvenating quite extensively in natives, but where the knotweed is encroaching, it would do diligence to keep it mechanically in control. And so I did apply for that grant because of the window, and I apologize for not reaching out. I didn't even think about it actually. So we were awarded $2,250, for an initial brush hog and then 4 months of mechanical. So that would just be a mowing. So the brush hog initially because of the diameter of the stems that may be out there to include knotweed and woody, but it would be along that heavy edge of knotweed to keep it open, to keep it from encroachment. The natives are mainly maple and box elder at this point in time with knotweed encroachment, and so I'd like to do another part of that grant was on the MCC's action was to have a knotweed event, information purposes, but also do hand polling and get, you know, kind of a discussion out there and an active feet on the ground of the community, so to speak. Another deliverable of that grant for MCC is a brochure on knotweed education. And that would be basically May through September for those to be actively going on that field.
We should look into getting like a group together to cut the brush coming down the entrance.
Yep.
Because then we won't have to cross the river with the equipment. We can come down by the water plant.
Yep, so that's,
That road we used to build.
yeah, that initial brush hog, and I'm guessing around the May timeframe, depending on seasonal high water table,
Yeah.
could be that initial sweep going down to that field and opening that back
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And then everything else after that would probably be mowing, I assume, depending on equipment. We will be putting out an announcement and a request. We have board members who said that they were willing. Either way, we'd like to pay them, not board members, Conservation Commission members. Or if anybody in the town wants that project to be paid for it. Same thing. All right, sorry, I'm almost done.
No, it's okay.
I also had a couple community members reach out about invasives, and one of the members asked for specifically, do we have a town plan? And I said we did not, and I sent it in, and would you like to help write one? So we would like to come up with a town level plan to whatever comes out of it, but I wanted to ask you all, who should I reach out to? I already have the community member that's very interested, myself who has elbow grease and invasives, and then anybody else that you guys can think of that I should coordinate with.
So with the town plan, I'm just thinking about, if we had a plan, part of it could be implementation of activity, and that probably would be on, town-owned properties. Would part of the plan be something around outreach and assistance to private landowners? We're just thinking that if we're talking about a town-wide plan to address invasives, a lot of the invasives happen on private lands.
Yep.
Which kind of limit the town's ability to do anything without landowner engagement. And so
Yep.
is the town plan envisioning like actions but also outreach, or like what's the scope that we're thinking about here?
The discussion we had at the Conservation Commission was education and help and facilitation of the fact of what should I do about the invasives on my property. I don't think I have I don't have the dedication, I don't think my commission members have the dedication to go on people's property and assist hands-on. You know, kind of more of an empowerment of, this is exactly what to do.
Awesome.
And so that also ties in with that whole knotweed project in the town land, because it's a demonstration as well. You know, just at least to get that momentum going, but I thought that this community member that was looking for a town level plan was looking appropriately, like, that would be great, like, and also setting parameters, not so much potentially on treatment, but the reduction of the spread of.
Yep.
So those are the kind of things we were thinking about, and that obviously involves the town and
Yeah.
the select board and potentially any other action that is taken within town. So just let you know that we're gonna work on it this winter, and then that'll be hitting your email boxes, or I'll be sitting for you again.
That sounds great. I guess what I would say is anything that, any grant applications that might require select board approval or anything like that, just flag kind of what those dates are, and we'll just make sure that we get them on our calendar so that we don't kind of miss one. We'll just make sure that, you know, we have that clear so that we know, for example, you know, at the December, when's our next meeting? Like the
19th.
The 19th? I was gonna say 16th, that was close. So like if there's something that has to happen on the 19th, we'll make sure we get it there, or January or whatever. So just let us know whenever you need us to do something, and we'll make sure we don't miss it.
Thank you. One other thing that came up in looking at some of these grants was ash tree removal. And I don't know if y'all are ready to broach that subject, but
We should.
yeah, just, I think there may be like a hierarchy of like, okay, power lines, you know, trying to target some of the ash trees that we may be seeing affected.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I know that, so I worked in Enosburg years ago to do an actual survey. We went around and GPSed roadside ash trees. I don't know if that's something that there might be funding to support with the commission, or if commission members would be interested in just doing it, you know, on the weekend. A lot of this stuff can be cell phone based on free apps.
everybody pick a road.
Yeah, but it could be something where people go and identify hazard trees to give us an idea of how much and where. So I think the next question is going to be cost. And I do think that, I mean, as you're well aware, it's easier to take down a live tree than a dead tree. And so proactively thinking about whether it's the road crew that's doing this, or we hire it out, or whatever, I do think now is the time to start thinking about that, because if it comes to a point where we're dealing with hundreds of dead ash trees, it's going to be a lot more time consuming and costly to get that work done than now.
Maybe I'll look into figuring out what the power company will or will not do at this time, and then go from there. Then I assume that the rest of it will be up to us.
Yeah. It would be an interesting question to see if the co-op has any thought on any plans on their end.
Yeah.
I mean, the scale of the problem for them is big.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And if there's ever anything, yeah, we can work on it. You guys can think about, please just let me know.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate everything you guys are doing. It's really great to see so much action with the commission.
It's a good commission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carissa. Moving on to old business. Double check, we don't have anybody new. Nope. Old business website policy clean copy. So at the last meeting, we went through and marked up and changed the municipal website policy. We now have a clean copy in front of us for signature. Anything you wanted to add to that, Emily, or?
No.
Okay. And I guess the motion would be to adopt the
Do you want to see a copy of it? It's what we looked at.
It's what we
It's-
just looked at, right?
Yep.
No,
Just
I
with
never
those
really
couple of
changed much.
changes.
It was
Yeah, so.
just a few changes. We didn't look at it last meeting, it was the meeting
Yeah.
before.
Yep.
Great. So is there a motion to adopt the municipal website policy as amended?
I would make a motion to adopt the municipal website policy as it is amended.
Great. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Great. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries. New business, so it's December, which means we're getting into budget season. And so there's no action that's required by the board tonight, but what I was gonna do is I was gonna prep a letter that goes out to all departments that basically says, it's that time of the year again, we need your budgets by a certain date. And so the next steps would be to draft that letter and get approval from the budget committee for it, get that out, and then set meetings of the budget committee to get that going. Because typically, historically, we met in December. The past couple of years, things have been expedited a little bit with some of the efficiencies that Erin's brought in with some of the work she does.
Right.
So we'll have to talk with the committee about kind of when we want to meet and scheduling, but that'll be kind of a committee scheduling
Okay,
thing.
yeah.
So anyway, that was it. I just wanted to put that out there that we're moving into that season, and so I'll be sending out a letter to the departments.
Yeah, I'll sit down with the guys so we can figure out the projects for the budget.
Yeah. Great. We have no liquor licenses or fleet permits this evening, so if there's no other burning things on anybody's mind, a motion to adjourn could be made.
Already? Yeah.
Emily, just,
I will make the motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:03 p.m.
7:03.
Record time.
great. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Great. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Great. Well, thanks everybody for a quick, efficient meeting.
Yes.